Hi, I'm Jennifer, and we are here with Adonis Lenzy, author of his new book, Next, What to Do When You Know There Is Something More. Welcome, Adonis.
Hey, it's good to have you here with me today. I'm excited.
Me too.
And thanks for coming out and asking all these questions, because I know we're going to have a great time.
Yes, we are. I'm excited to hear the answers.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, what's going to come out? I don't know. So, Adonis, it's a really great book, Next, but for those of us who don't know what maybe Next means to you, please tell us, what is your summary of what your book Next means for us?
Yeah. Well, I think Next is all about helping people get to that next place in their life, or that next dream that they still envision. So, you know, I've read a lot of different motivational books. They've always left me with that thought of, man, I am overwhelmed. And so I did not want to overwhelm people. And so what I did, I created a resource, just a tool for the everyday person to be able to go back and revisit their dreams. Maybe, you know, maybe because of circumstances and life's disappointments, they've put their dream back on a shelf. And so Next will empower them to start dreaming again, have hope again, to get that dream off the shelf and start doing some practical action steps that will get them closer to the dream and the life that they envision.
Well, so yes, it's practical. Yes, there's a lot that we can learn from it. And you said, you know, you see a lot of people that seem to be stuck. So let's dig into that. As far as what really inspired you to write this book, was there a moment or a person that was exceptionally stuck?
Yeah. Well, I think as I look back over my life, and you know, I think everybody has a next, and not just one next, but several next throughout their journey. So as I look back over my life, and there were several moments where I felt myself hitting a lid. I felt myself at one time excited about my career, excited about where I was, and all of a sudden that excitement went away, and I'm like, okay, what is going on? And the excitement turned to frustration, and then after frustration, all hope began to go away, and it's like, okay, I've got to do something. And I still had a dream alive on the inside, and I knew there was something more for me. And so I started really digging in and said, okay, I can't stay stuck here all my life. I've got to do what it takes, and those practical things. I've got to get over fear. I've got to get over my excuses. I got to pinpoint what's holding me back. And then once I began to do that, it actually allowed me to take a step forward. I remember several years ago being in Texas. I'm originally from Texas, and now I'm living here in Nashville, Tennessee. And that was one of my moments where I called Next. I was there in Texas, and I feel like I just hit a lid in life and just began to search. And I really believe as I began to search, my next step was loading up everything in my SUV, driving to Nashville, Tennessee. And so I just, 2 books later, a wife, 2 kids, and I'm just excited about the life I'm living right now.
And that's a whole lot of next moments really rolled in together, right?
Yes, yes.
So who would benefit from this book? Obviously, you've benefited from birthing these ideas. I'm sure that your family has benefited, but who do you envision would benefit from this book? How, and also, how is this book different from other self-help motivational books in that category of being stuck?
Gotcha. Well, let me answer that second question first. You know, I've read a lot of motivational books or self-help books, and with me, it's always left me feeling like, man, I'm so far from what they're talking about in the book, and there's no way I can even do that. And so I didn't want people to feel like they couldn't take that simple step forward. And so I believe it'll benefit the everyday person who is at home. Maybe they're not satisfied where they are right now. Maybe they're stuck in a job that they feel like, man, there's more for me, but how do I even go about doing that? So I wanted to communicate to the everyday person, to give them those little steps, practical steps that they could apply to their lives. And they don't have to feel like they're perfect. They don't have to feel like they've arrived, and they don't have to feel like they're experts, because I believe a lot of people are intimidated because they look at successful people and they think, man, they're experts. There's no way I can do what they're doing. But I wrote this book for the non-experts. I want to encourage people to go after their dreams no matter who they are.
That's awesome. I mean, anyone can feel overwhelmed.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that's really awesome to just give someone something that is, here's number one. Let's try that.
Yeah,
right?
I've read a lot of books that left me with the to-do list so long, it just overwhelmed me. I closed the book and I forgot about it. It's still on my
I'm one of those people. I get through a paragraph and I'm like, well,
see,
that's really good.
Next is for you.
It's for me. I need to get unstuck with reading past the first paragraph of something. So this book's going to help me. Yes?
Absolutely.
Good, thank you. I'm glad. I have to say this, the tagline, it's never too late to make your next days your best days. I love that. I do. And tell me, good. Okay, we're in agreement. Good. I was hoping you did like it as much as I did. But the thing is, tell me, can you explain how passionate you are about people believing in that statement and actually going beyond that and living that statement?
Absolutely. You know, I come across so many people that feel like their time is up, their time is over, and their time has passed them by. And so that's why I'm so passionate about encouraging people, inspiring people to not believe that lie, to really understand that, you know what, you can start where you are right now and still go after your dreams. And so I love saying that. I believe it. And, you know, one of my missions is to inspire other people with that very thought, because I find so many people still stuck by thinking their time is gone.
Mm-hmm. So with all of your experiences, you know, talking to people, really hands-on, trying to help people out and understand their lives, and of course writing this book, what typically do you think holds people back from being able to make their next days their best days?
I think the number one thing is fear. And that could be a plethora of different things, but I believe fear is the thing that keeps people frozen in where they are right now, whether that's fear of, if I step out, am I going to fail? The fear of failure. I believe it's the fear of, what are other people going to think about me if I actually go after this wild, far-fetched dream? So I believe until we get past our fears, we'll never move forward towards our next.
So in the book, you talk about Settleville. You have great taglines. I mean, Settleville. Like I don't need an explanation, because I can just imagine my own Settleville. I can imagine it. I've lived a little bit of that, but you know, everyone gets stuck sometimes. But explain to everybody what this means.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think Settleville is a place that each individual is capable of recognizing, because we all know when we are not giving our best. We all know when we've bought into the lie that says, you know what, this is the best life that I can have. And so we're still dreaming, but we've kind of just put that back on the shelf, and somehow we convince ourselves that, you know what, you've done the best you can do. This is all life has to offer you. And so we kind of settle down in what I call Settleville. And the only problem with that is, if you're in Settleville, you know you're in Settleville, and so it bothers you. It keeps you up at night, but the longer you live there, the more accustomed you become and acquainted to Settleville. So I believe, once again, people have to get out of Settleville by getting past their fears.
So if we're getting beyond Settleville, then I guess we're getting into nexting.
We're getting into
some nexting. Yeah. So, you know, before everyone gets all crazy, tell us what nexting is.
Nexting is, you know, I don't know if I came up with that word. I just started using it when I was writing this book. So I kind of coined the phrase of nexting. It's kind of a verb, something in action. And so let me paint a scenario for you. Let's say there's an individual, and maybe they're stuck in a job that they've been in for years, and it's not bringing them joy. They feel like there's something more for them. And instead of getting discouraged in that moment, I encourage people to start nexting. And so what that means is to start dreaming about your next step, to start visualizing, seeing yourself actually accomplishing the things that you're dreaming about, because I believe that's going to empower you. It's going to inspire you to even handle your now situation, because all those emotions, you feel stuck, but nexting is going to encourage you that, hey, there is something more for you out there.
I know, like you've already said, it can be very overwhelming when you say, all right, I'm on board, Adonis. Yeah. I want to go forward. I want the next. I don't want to be in Settleville. Yeah. You want to go, but you've got dreams. And let's say you do have a day that repeats itself a lot in your job. You know, how do you break out? What is the step someone can take if they don't know exactly what to do to get to their next?
Gotcha. You know, I think identifying your next is that next step. And so I always say this, it's like whatever it is you're dreaming about, you have to make sure you're passionate about that, because if there's no passion, no desire, then there's no way you're going to have the energy and the excitement and the passion to even reach that goal or that dream. I believe some dreams could be a wish list, but there's some things that really, when you dream about it or you think about it, it keeps you up at night. You're excited about it, you're passionate about it. And so I believe you've got to start with passion. Even when I was thinking about, okay, what am I going to write next? And so I'm just so passionate about helping people and reach their next level of life, reach their dreams, their goals. And so I'm passionate about that. You don't have to call me and wake me up and say, hey, Adonis, it's time for you to get up and encourage people. No, I love doing that. And so I believe starting with a passion is key for you to figure out what your next is.
And there's a lot of excuses that could come from, okay, I want to be passionate, I know what I want to do, but there's children, there's spouses, there's friends, there's obligations, and most of that revolves around relationships, just relationship excuses, or I don't know if this person's healthy for me, or maybe they're becoming an obstacle. How do you navigate through your relationships, your current relationships? How do you know if something is a supportive environment or not supportive for trying to find your next?
Yeah, I think relationships are key as well. And so let's say if there is a spouse or your husband or your wife or your father or your mother, and you've got children. And so I believe it's creating balance in the midst of that as well. You want to keep your family at a perfect balance and find peace in that. You want to make sure that's healthy. And then also, I believe a big part of your next is connecting with people that maybe you're not even connected with right now. It's reaching out to those people. I talk about this in the book, making right connections. It's reaching out to those people that are already doing what maybe you're dreaming about doing. It doesn't mean that you're going to have a buddy-buddy relationship with them or you'll be able to talk to them. Some of them you may be, but you know, social media has made it very easy for you to connect with people online via their social media feeds or their streams, and for you to for them to become your virtual mentor all of a sudden. So I believe in making those connections that are outside of your current connections, because they're going to push you, motivate you, and inspire you to continue to go after your next.
So in your book Next, you talk about dream distractions. Can you give us an example of one of those?
Yeah, you know, there's in the book I talk about the distraction of comparison. So what I mean by that is, like, you know, somebody's running their race, they're trying to get to their dream, and so all of a sudden, you know, I talked about making those right connections, and so they have somebody that they follow online, and they start learning from them, but all of a sudden they start comparing themselves where they are right now to that person's success. And before long, that becomes a distraction, because you can get discouraged. You can start looking at it like, man, I'll never get to where that person is, or I'll never be as good as that person. And so instead of focusing on your race, you're focusing on somebody else's. And I tell people all the time, you'll never get to your destination by running somebody else's race.
There is this overwhelming theme of being overwhelmed, really. I mean, it seems like dream distractions, or your past, or looking too much into the future and the bulk of everything. And, you know, one of the things that often holds people back is their past.
Absolutely.
Of course, I can relate to that too, the whole stuck thing in Settleville.
Yeah.
So as far as your book, there is this great quote. It says, if you bring your yesterday into tomorrow, then your future will always be the same. So can you elaborate a little bit on that?
And I believe if you're going to hold on to yesterday and you try to bring it into your next, then you're going to keep reliving the hurts from the past. You're going to keep reliving those disappointments. And not only will you relive them, you will expect them where you are right now. And so I try to encourage people, you've got to let go of any past failures, past mistakes, because a lot of people are still trying to get over that failure. And that's that fear, again, Jen, that stops people from moving towards their next. They're thinking, man, I tried it last year and I failed. And then I looked foolish, or, you know, I told people I had this big plan, a big dream, and here I am still talking about it, and I don't even want to talk to people anymore, because they're going to ask me, how's that dream coming along? And so we got to get past that, let it go, and just move on into your future.
So Adonis, the role of expectations can play, it's so significant in starting your next, but it also has a big involvement in how you keep going, right?
Absolutely.
Well, in your book, you say most people never achieve anything because they simply don't expect to.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
You know, I think expectations are, once again, are going to be that force that causes you to visualize what you want your future to look like. And so I think whatever that picture is, that's going to be your driving force. You know, here's an example. My son, he started T-ball. And so from T-ball, then he went to coach pitch, meaning we were pitching balls, and he was 5 years old, so we were pitching the ball to him. And so one of my encourages or pep talks to him was, I said, hey, every time you get up to bat, you have to expect that you're going to hit this ball. And so we began to talk about that, and I said, don't just expect it, but see yourself actually swinging the bat and hitting the ball. And so to his amazement, he got more hits than strikeouts, and he was just 5 years old. He was so excited, but every time he went up to bat, he expected to hit the ball. And so my just overall encouragement to people is, okay, whatever that next step is, whatever that dream is, whatever that goal is, expect to see yourself accomplishing it, winning in every area of your life, because when you expect it, once again, I believe, Jen, you visualize it, and your vision is what drives your life. So the opposite effect, if you expect to fail, guess what? Chances are, if you're walking around with that expectation, man, I'm going to fail, so why even try? It's going to control your thoughts. It's going to dominate your mind. It's going to dominate everything about you, and it's going to drive you to not even try any longer. So expectation is a huge part. It brings a huge win, and so I encourage people, listen, get your expectation up. Do whatever you have to do. Don't set your expectation according to what happened in the past. Even if you have a past failure or a past moment to where something didn't work out the way you thought it was going to work out, listen, forget about that, let it go, get a new expectation, wake up tomorrow morning and say, you know what, I'm going to have a great day today. Today is my day. Today I'm going to win. Today I'm going to excel. Today I'm going to reach my next. And the more you expect that, the closer you'll get to your dream.
I think that I'm getting a sense that there's a little bit of aggression involved in not only starting your next, but maybe getting through and continuing on with your next. And I'll tell you why. Because one of my favorite quotes from your book is, sometimes we need a reality check to slap us in the face. Yeah, and wake us up from dreaming so we can actually start doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because if we're not careful, once again, even in that place we talked about earlier, Settleville, we'll find ourselves just dreaming about it, talking about it, telling other people about it, but not really doing what we know we need to be doing to actually get close to that dream. We're still stuck in dreamland. We're just talking about it. And so, you know, I talk about that in the book. There's a movie that I saw. It's with Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise, and a brilliant scene. And every time I watch that scene on YouTube, man, it just really, it leaves an overwhelming feeling just deep down inside my gut. But it's where Jamie Foxx is the cab driver. He's driving Tom Cruise around, and all of a sudden, he begins to question Tom Cruise about his choice of profession, and almost like he's judging Tom Cruise. And all this while, he's been telling Tom Cruise that he wants to have his own limo business one day. And it's so funny because Tom Cruise puts him in check. And he goes, hey, man, you've been dreaming about this, talking about it. Someday you're going to start your limo company. And, man, he leaves him with a thought of like, man, you'll never do it. What's going to happen is you're going to be talking about this for the rest of your life, wishing you would have started something. And Jamie Foxx is left with this puzzled look on his face, but it's a look that I think a lot of people can connect with, because when reality slaps us, we know the buck starts here and it stops here. We've got to make sure that we're getting up, getting out, and doing the things that we need to do to actually make our dreams come to pass.
In your book, Next, you say people who are living their dreams are the people who make time for their dreams. So tell us a little bit more about how we can make that time.
You know, here's the deal. If you're passionate about doing something, then I guarantee you will make time for it. And so once again, it could be looking at your current schedule and prioritizing. We've got 24 hours in a day. We've got time to do all the things that we want to do, but when it comes to our dreams, we kind of put that on the back shelf. And so I tell people all the time, if it's not in your calendar, you probably won't do it. You know, even me and my wife, we know it's important to make time for her and I to have that quality alone time away from the kids. So guess what? We put our daytimes on the calendar, because if it doesn't make the calendar, you know as well as I know, it's a slim chance of that thing ever coming to pass or getting done. And so I encourage people, yes, you do have time. You may have to prioritize, okay? All those TV shows you've got DVR'd, guess what? You may have to delete those and replace that with some action steps and putting some time in to make your dream come to pass. So I don't know if I struck a nerve right there or not.
You're seeing inside of me. No, absolutely. Well, yes. I mean, like the world's going to throw you all sorts of distractions, all sorts of options for how to use your time. Yeah. And I think that's right. I mean, one of my favorite sayings is, you know, Beyonce has the same 24 hours in the day as we do, you know. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit more just on that last bit, because I interrupted you as far as the movies and stuff. I need to hear it one more time. Okay. I need you to preach to me for a second. I need you to tell me.
Well, here's a great example. When me and my wife, we were writing our first book together, we co-wrote it together. We were running up against a deadline. And so there was one evening we were sitting in the living room, and so we were looking at our DVR, all of our TV programs, and man, we had about 13 hours recorded of one TV show. And we would try to squeeze through that. We felt pressure to, man, we've got to, you know, clear the DVR so we could record some more stuff. And so finally it's like, it dawned on us, like, wait a minute. Okay, what's a priority here? Finishing this book so we can get this word out and help a lot of people, or sitting here on the sofa watching our recorded TV program? And so it's what I call the law of replacement. Find something that is not as high priority as you reaching your dream, and you may have to pull that away, but replace that with some time slots of you doing things that are going to get you closer to your dream or to your goal.
So I know that you talk about how our pasts can hold us back. They can get in our way. Can you talk about the different ways that that can trip us up?
Yeah, you know, I think I've talked about the things that negatively happened in your past, but I think there's also some positive things that can happen in our past that we can actually get stuck in because we keep reliving that, and it almost causes us in fear not to step out and try something new, because we don't want to risk the chance of us failing at something, and then we've got a failed moment on our record because we're still thinking about our past success. And so I encourage people, you know what, step out and do something new. I've come across a lot of people that they had great success, and still all of a sudden they start feeling like there's still something more, okay? So I encourage people, you can't stay in that current success when you feel like there's something more. I believe you can learn from that, but never let that allow you to stay where you are. You know, you come across a lot of people that have trophies of years ago and stuff like that. All my trophies, guess what? They've got dust on them. They're up in the attic somewhere, okay? But overall, it's just to encourage people to keep moving forward.
So all this talk about this amazing new book, Next, I want to know, and I'm sure a lot of people want to know, Adonis, what is your next?
Wow, you know, I think I've got several of them. You know, of course it's to...
Don't be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Just do one at a time.
You know, of course, it's to wrap up this book project and try to get the word out as quickly as we can, and still to just be able to help as many people as I can. I believe I have more books in me that I still want to write on different subjects to encourage. I believe that's just that one thing that I'm so passionate about doing, Jen, is just encouraging people, inspiring people. So I think I want to do that. I believe as a husband and a father, you know, it's just my next is just to continue to spend as much time as I can with my family. My children are, my youngest is just now going into school. And so now it's like, okay, I got a whole nother area to get involved in. And so I want to get really more involved in their lives as they get ready for school and things like that. So I think I got my plate pretty full right now. But once again, it's like I don't think I'll ever get tired of encouraging people. So, you know, we got several projects coming out. You can find all of that on the website as well. Just several different tools that we want to put in the hands of people. You know, I believe one of my next steps too is to be able to come alongside of people and to personally help walk them through the different stages, to help navigate them through all the emotional ups and downs, because you know what, that does happen as people start going after their next and their dreams. So I want to be that personal coach or that personal guide to help walk them through those things. So that's going to be in the works, as coming out. So I'm excited about that.
Adonis, thank you so much for all of this amazing information. It was great hanging out with you today. This is really cool. It was
great being here with you today. And by the way, we're actually in the coffee shop shooting today, where I spent 75% of the time writing my book Next.
Wow, thanks coffee shop. Thanks Adonis, this is great. Wow, well, if you would like to get Adonis's book, you can go to getyournextbook.com or visit adonislenzy.com if you want to know more information.
And always remember, it's never too late to make your next days your best days.